Dear students, welcome back to the online sessions on DCCN. In today's session, we'll try to complete the routing algorithms altogether. We left over with two algorithms, that is going to be the vector-based routing algorithm, and next one is going to be multicast routing algorithm in the syllabus given to us. So we'll try to complete these two algorithms today, and we'll just have a summary of all the various types of routings that we discussed. Okay. So let us go with the vector routing type of the algorithm now. So we try to discuss about this distance vector routing algorithm. So distance vector routing algorithm is almost similar to the shortest path routing algorithm with minute difference. The shortest path routing algorithm is basically a static routing type of the algorithm, whereas distance vector routing is a dynamic dynamic routing algorithm. So we know the difference between static and dynamic. Dynamic table always going to change in the network of networks, whereas static routing table is not going to change. Once the routing table is prepared in static table, every router is going to have the same routing table to transfer the packet in the predefined order as per the static routing table. Whereas coming to dynamic routing table, the values in the dynamic routing table are normally going to change. It is something like in the dynamic routing table, let's say for example, the router A has prepared this routing table. After some time, the router A is normally going to change its routing table to the updated values. Similar is the case with all the routing tables of the routers. If it is a static routing table, then what happens? The router's routing table will be static. They won't change. Once the data packets are being transmitted from node 1 to say node A in that particular fashion. So that means the only advantage of routing table is that the distance vector routing table is that which is dynamic in nature. Even though some of the routers are not really functioning, are shut down while the data is being transmitted from one router to another router, even then also we can able to transmit the packets. In the case of static routing, it is something like a dedicated path allocated between the two routers, source and destination. And every time the packet has to take that route only. So in that particular path, if one of the router is not functioning, then the entire process will be terminated. The entire process of transmitting the packet from source to destination is simply going to get terminated. Say for example, between source and destination, there are few packets. Say for example, I want to transmit a packet from C to say L. So in this process, C is going to take the routers like E, J, H. Okay, all these routers it may take. So in between what happens is something like say the router G is not working. In the static routing, what happens? If C, E, J, H and L is considered to be the shortest path, and router C is going to write a routing table, and it mentions the path for a packet to take to reach to L router, and that particular path is going to be static. So once after the packets being transmitting in the process of data transmission, suddenly what happens? The router G may not be functioning well, or router G goes into shutdown. Then what happens to the packets coming from C to L? So all the transactions are simply going to get halted, are going to get terminated. So until router G comes alive, the process of transmission of packets are going to get halted. So this is the drawback with the static type of the routing algorithms. So to overcome that drawback, to ensure a proper throughput of the packets from source to the destination computer, we go with the dynamic type of the routing, where every router is going to write its own routing tables. And these values are normally going to change dynamically. Now, the advantage is that even if some of the routers in the subnet are going to get damaged or not functioning well, still we can able to provide the communication. That is the advantage of this type of the dynamic type of the routing algorithm. So at the outset, what we can say, the distance vector routing is known as a dynamic routing type of the algorithm, and which can be reconfigured from time to time. So that means it is something like a reconfigurable routing type of the algorithm. Whereas coming to the simple routing called shortest path routing algorithm, which is known as a static type of the routing algorithm, which cannot be reconfigured. So only thing is that if some router is not working in case of the shortest path routing, and the entire communication is simply going to get terminated until the router which is there in that process is simply going to get repaired. So until the router which is damaged in the process of communication, no communication is going to exist in the path. That is what the problem with the static routing. Coming to dynamic routing, even though some of the routers are not working properly or are totally damaged, okay, so are not working slowly, but still I can just simply going to have the communication, right? That is what the benefit of the dynamic type of the routing. But in dynamic routing, definitely there is going to be an overhead. What is the overhead you're going to have? Handshaking overhead is definitely going to be there. So configuration, that means it's going to take some time for configuring the routing table, and overhead bits are also going to be more in the case of the dynamic type of the routing. The time delays are also going to increase in the case of the dynamic type of the routing. But only thing is that the communication is normally going to get assured in the case of dynamic routing, whatsoever may be the conditions which are going to exist in the network, it doesn't matter, but definitely the communication is going to get fulfilled in the case of the distance vector type of the routing, which comes under the dynamic type of the routing algorithms. Okay. So there are two, as we discussed, there are three, in fact, three basic methods of undergoing with the distance vector routing. One is the standard one is going to be called as number of hops that will be counted by every router to transmit a packet from one router to the another router. And second one is going to be the most important one, is going to be the time delay, the time that a packet will take to travel from one router to another router is going to be the second important factor that we can really going to consider. Okay. And the third one is not that much important, but third one is also somewhat preferable. Third one is going to be the path length. So that means three are the important factors using which it can really going to prepare a vector routing table. So vector means what? What is a vector? Vector is going to have both the magnitude and direction in general. That means it is going to provide us information of more than one information is provided for a task to perform, is called a vector kind of representation. So here, what is the task to be performed? It has to find out the route between the source and the destination. So for this purpose, it is going to prepare three types of routes. One is going to be based on the number of hops. Second one is going to be based on the time delay, the time it takes for a packet to travel. And third one is going to be the path length. Okay. So here in this example, time delayed version has been simply taken into consideration. And vector of one dimension has been given here. That means we can prepare vector of 3 dimensions. So 3-dimensional vector can be prepared to find out the vector routing table in general. So among these three, whichever is going to be the best one for that moment, at that moment, that particular vector will be taken into consideration, and that route is normally being considered in the system. So that is also going to get decided dynamically. That means it is very, very flexible type of the system. Whichever is the best possible method among three possible methods we have, that will be simply taken into consideration. It is not like only the route which has been decided by path length has to be taken, the route which has been decided by the number of hops has to be taken, and similarly the routes that has been taken based on the time delay of the packet is to be taken. It all depends dynamically which is the best one among these three for a packet to travel. That is normally been taken into consideration. So among these three, which is the best one? It is going to be the time delay, the amount of time it takes for a packet to travel. So that is an important thing. So that is the reason why that example has been taken here to explain. Okay, so I have taken that example of time delay to explain about the routing table. Okay, so this is the router A is going to maintain a routing table. Router A want to transmit a packet to router A. How much time it takes? 0 time. There is no delay. So usually router A don't transmit to router A. So therefore obviously 0. Router A want to transmit to B. So for this, okay, it has prepared. That means it is totally a dynamic kind of thing. You can write any number, doesn't matter. Any number you can write. Any number that simply comes to your mind, you can simply write down. Okay, but that number should not be more than the overall delay of the network that is to be taken into consideration. So therefore, let us try to take the maximum time delay going to be 30 milliseconds. So 30 milliseconds is the maximum time period. Now you can just take up any kind of a delay, just randomly you can just simply write, because all this is a random in nature. So all the contents in routing tables are also random in nature. So that means you can just simply take out any combinations for that matter to speak about that. See, H to H is 0. Okay, K to K is 0. That care you have to take. So they don't take much time for K to send a packet to K, because it is itself only. So therefore it is 0. Only that care you have to take. Rest of them you can just take it, write it randomly. And whichever is the nearest, you can just take the least possible value. Okay. So randomly you can just simply write down this, fill this particular routing table. And for example's sake, a routing table has been prepared for routers A, I, H, K, and J. And here all these routing tables have been prepared with the expected destination going to be called as J, router J. Okay, with that expected router J to travel, the packet to be traveled, that means J to A, J to I, J to H. Okay, that means it is in the computer terminology, we have to come in reverse. That means when a packet is traveling from A to J, we'll write JA. When a packet is traveling from I to J, we'll write JI. Destination first, source next will come. Okay, so that means this is how we normally going to give the designations, give the name designations. And like this, the routing tables are normally going to get prepared for a router to take. Okay, so all this has been prepared with the time delay. Now there is going to be a problem with this kind of thing here called as the count to infinity problem. What is the meaning of count to infinity problem? Let us try to figure out what is the meaning of count to infinity problem. When all the routers are functioning perfectly, there is no problem of count to infinity. But in real time, what happens? Some router may get shut down because of some problems. That means shutdown means totally not functioning. Now what happens in the network is that the routers which are not connected directly to router A, C is not connected directly to A. D is not connected directly to A. H is not connected directly to A. Like that, so many routers are not connected to A directly. That means these routers known as C, D, H really don't aware that router A is simply damaged. So if at all a router H want to transmit some packet via A, this packet, this router H, router D, say router C, are going to send information to router B, stating the path via router A. But router B knows that router A is not functioning because it is totally adjacent to router A. This is unfortunate. That means even though router A is not functioning, many routers in the network, how many routers are going to be there? We say infinite number of routers will be there. So these many number of routers are maintaining the routing information via router A. That means it is maintaining information of route through A, where A is not functioning. This is called count to infinity problem. So there are infinite number of counts of routes through or via router A, which is of no use, because router A is not at all functioning. This is what called the problem known as count to infinity problem. That means even though router A is not really functioning, all the routers are maintaining the information of router A and sending the same information to many other routers in the network about the route to take by a packet via that particular router. So this is what called count to infinity. That means many, that means there is a so many what is that known as so many counts, so much of count is simply been added for this particular router A. Okay, infinite number of routers are there. They are simply going to keep this router into count, and that much of information is simply been transmitting in the network, which is totally useless. That has to be avoided in the case of the distance vector type of the routing algorithm. That means avoiding the count to infinity is an issue in the case of the distance vector routing. Now, how do we address this issue? We address this issue by using an algorithm known as split horizon algorithm. So there is one more algorithm called split horizon algorithm. Split horizon algorithm is normally going to perform something like this. Here, why the problem is appearing in this count to infinity kind of a problem? Why this count to infinity problem is appearing in the network? Because all the routers are advertising about A in the network. So this advertising about A through the network has to be avoided. Say for example, B is the nth node, A is the damaged node. Okay. So if B is the nth node, B is the node which is nearer to A, or E is the node which is nearer to A. That means B and E are known as nth nodes in the network. So all other routers are going to send information to the nearest routers. Please understand this. All the other routers are going to send the information to the nearest routers. And B knows that the routing time required to A is infinity, because when the response is going to be positive from node A, don't know. Therefore, it is indefinite. So therefore, the route is known as infinite route. That information is known to B. Since that information is known to B, if at all a route is there via A, since A is damaged, B will try to take another route to go to the destination. Okay. If A itself is going to be the destination, now that information is given by the router B to the nearest router, stating that the route to A is going to be infinity. Then immediately that router is going to change its routing table with infinite value to the router A. I think you are understanding this. Say for example, router H is there here. Router H to A is not functioning, for example. So here it will write infinity. That means root is infinity means what? There is no proper connection from A to some other router. That means A is not functioning. Right. So that information is known to the router H. Like that, what happens is like all the routers are normally going to get a negative acknowledgement about router A. That means whichever is normally going to get transmit nearer to the nth node via node A, that particular router is going to get information about router A by the nth node. Nth node is the nearest node to the damaged node. So thereby what happens is this advertising of router A in the network by all the routers is simply being avoided. Okay, that means advertising has to be stopped. Why this problem is coming here? It is something like every node is simply advertising the entire route. So instead of advertising, if we stop the advertising and simply it has to send the packet to its nearest router, whichever is the nearest router, that will take care about the concerns of routing a packet in the network. So that is what one of the best method which we can have, which is known as the split horizon algorithm method. So using this split horizon algorithm method means we split the network based on the horizons of n network and then we transmit the data. So thereby we can avoid count to infinity problem in the case of the distance vector routing type of the algorithm. Okay, so after this routing algorithm, we have one more type. The last one is going to be called as a multicast type of the algorithm. So let us look into the multicast. Multicast comes under the broadcast type of the algorithm. So in broadcast, we have discussed about many types of broadcastings can happen. One is multi-dimensional routing or multi-destination routing, flooding, multicast routing, and independently spanning tree type of the routing are all going to be there. So in that, one more variety we have in the syllabus called as multicast type of the routing. Multicast routing, what we'll do is actually is multicast. What is multicast? It is simply extension to the point to point is called multicast. What is point to point? This is say one node here. There is going to be one node here. That means what I mean by saying is this is one node, this is another node. Now I want to have a communication between these two. Okay, so whenever I want to have a communication only between these two, it is simply known as a multicast. These two, sorry, it is known as a point to point type of a communication. So other than this, whenever I'm going to have something like so if at all I want to communicate the same information to many nodes on a single line, then it is going to be called as a multicast type of the routing. So that means same information, same packet is being simply transmitted for all the destinations. That means more than one destination, if you transmit it, it's going to be called as a multicast. It comes under a broadcasting kind of a transmission technique. Now, when I speak about multicast, say for example, if I go with a leftmost router, multicasting method. Now this is the leftmost router I can think of. So that means the router I can think of is going to be like, this is the leftmost router. So it is a leftmost router I can have. So this router I wanted to really use here, leftmost router. Now this leftmost router, using leftmost router, I want to form a spanning tree. So spanning tree is a tree which is normally going to get formed, which is normally going to get break the closed graph or a network into the non-loop graphs. Non-loop means what? The graph is going to get at one particular point. It is not going to be closed. If you connect these two routers also here, the network is normally going to be called as a closed network. Loop is going to get formed. But here there is no loop formed here in the case of the spanning tree. So that means similar type of the routers, I'll arrange them as router 1 group, router 2 groups. That means router 2 number has been given here, router 2222. Means what? These routers are going to run a specific applications. These routers are normally meant to perform specific applications. Thereby, I can simply form 2 spanning trees from the given graph. Okay, which are going to be multicasting type of the graphs. So it supports multicasting type. So therefore, this graph B is going to be called a spanning tree by considering the leftmost router, and graph C is going to be a multicast tree for group 1. This is group 2 routers. So this is what the multicast type of the routing algorithms. Now, what is the practical application we can think of? The practical application we can think of going to be of mobile phone communications. Okay, so in mobile phone communication, we normally use the multicast type of the routing algorithms. Okay, so how do we normally implement such multicast type of the routing algorithm? Let us try to see that now. Yeah, so this is a mobile network under consideration. So I can call this as a mobile network. Why it is called as a mobile network now? Let us see. It is routing for mobile hosts. In this, we use dynamic type of routing algorithms. One of the dynamic routing type of algorithm is called as the distance vector routing is one type, multicast is another type. So let us imagine that we can use multicasting type of algorithm here. Now, if you observe this carefully, there is a graph formed, which is interconnection of various routers. Now, all these nodes, which are shown by solid circles, are known as the routers. Now, several types of routers are connected in a WAN kind of a network, and this WAN is connected to MANs, local LAN networks, foreign LAN networks. What we mean by saying foreign LAN is something like the LAN network, which is normally been implemented with different types of technologies, different types of topologies are all mixed together. So that means it is a scenario of inter-network communication. Now, to these home agents, to these LAN networks, we are going to have a connection to the cell towers. So this is nothing but a wireless cell tower, a region of coverage. Now, in this region of coverage, you're going to have the mobile phones. So this cell tower is normally used here. This is being connected to the various routers. Once again, these routers are connected to the local LANs. From local LANs, it is connected to the local antennas, and these antennas are going to transmit its data to the base stations. From base stations, the control goes to the mobile user. So here in these two scenarios also, say for example, this mobile host want to communicate with the mobile host which is there in this particular cell tower. Now this is a foreign LAN, this is going to be another type of a LAN. These two want to communicate. Now that communication is happening here. That means, first of all, before actual data being transmitted, whether it may be a voice or a data, the network is normally going to get configured by using the multicasting type of network, and after that data is normally going to get transmitted. So while the data is getting transmitted, then the billing has to be done separately. Okay, based on the region of operations under consideration. That means so much of data transfer, so much of networking operations are happening at the background. Being a users of the mobile phone, we don't aware that these many things are happening at the background. But in general, in reality, so many things are happening at the background. There is a there is a third processing which we don't see physically with our eye, but things are happening at the background. Okay, so many things are happening at the background without our intervention. But what is the advantage that we're getting? No one of us is going to feel that so much of processing is happening. Why? Because all these processings are happening at a speed of microseconds or nanoseconds speed. That means the speed of operation of the devices which are being used here is going to be tremendously high than the sensing rate of the human senses. Human senses can sense the change only for a period of milliseconds, or for a period of less than milliseconds. If it is going to be more than milliseconds, such as microseconds, nanoseconds, teraseconds time period, our senses cannot feel the change. Yes. So taking that as an advantage, we intentionally design the systems which runs at very high speed. Now, there is a problem if you observe carefully. At a single instance of time, simultaneously, how many mobile users can use the network? Only 20 to 25% of mobile users can use the network simultaneously. That is the reason why on the New Year day, say at 12 o'clock, if you want to make a call, your call won't get connected. Why? Because many users are transmitting the data simultaneously. The maximum capacity itself is going to be of 25% users in the network. If it crosses beyond 25% of mobile users, then the network busy signal you're going to get. Okay. So this is what the problem of scarce resources. We always run our systems with scarce resources. Scarce resources in terms of bandwidth, in terms of processing speed, and in terms of memory of the devices. So since we have these three problems, always it will be there. So the performance of the systems depends on these three factors. Therefore, because of these scarce resources, the system is going to get slowed down when the load on the system is going to increase. Load of mobile users are going to increase on the network, then definitely load increases. Okay, because of that, the system gets slows down. But usually in the normal times, we never feel that so much of things are happening at the background. We feel only when network is really busy. Okay, we get really bogged up when the network is really busy. Okay, so other than that, we never really feel those kind of problems. Okay, so this is what one of the practical example of the dynamic type of the routing. So the dynamic routing for the mobile host is a general network architecture, layer network architecture we can think of for the communications. So with this, we end our session today with this topic. And in next session, we go with the congestion control, which is also going to be a serious problem. Congestion is a serious problem in the network layer. So we'll try to discuss about the congestion control. What is congestion? How to control the congestion in the network. Thank you very much for today's session.